Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Gail Carson. Welcome to Living Regret Free, a program that shows you how to live a better and more joyful life. As an added bonus, I invite you to listen to an introduction to my Mindset Matters program, which ties into this so well. Go to www.sobmindset.com. It's free, and I know you will enjoy it. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at gailcarson13@gmail.com or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter. My guest today is JeanSharonAbbott, and she was misdiagnosed as a young child with a form of cerebral palsy. After 33 years of countless doctor's visits, medical procedures, unnecessary medications, and surgeries, she was correctly diagnosed with dopa responsive dystonia, DRD. She enjoys all the adventures of her new life, but wouldn't change the journey that brought her to where she is today. Her positive attitude is highly contagious as she encourages others to appreciate the little things in life. She's an inspirational speaker and author of Misdiagnosed, my 30-year struggle with a debilitating disorder I never had. Well, welcome, Jean, and I have a ton of questions for you. Glad to have you with us today.
Thank you for inviting me on. Appreciate it.
Well, I can't even imagine how something like this could go on for 33 years. I mean, that's just beyond my comprehension. So, what did you think when the doctor suggested you'd been misdiagnosed and this new little pill that you had to take would drastically change your life?
To be completely honest, I thought she was crazy. I wasn't even going to fill the prescription, but my husband said, well, why not give it a shot? But I just never imagined that it would be so life-changing because I had tried everything, physical therapy and surgeries and exercise and other medications. So I was stunned, to say the least, when it actually did start working.
Well, I have to tell you, I have never heard of this. It's a disease I have never heard of. Are there a lot of people who have this and who have been misdiagnosed?
So there's about 1 in a million people have dopa responsive dystonia, but my doctor and I are actually starting to wonder if it isn't more, because since I've been sharing my story, through my book and my blog and different media interviews, I've had nearly 24 people contact me to say that they talked to their doctor about this same dopa responsive dystonia and asked to try the trial of the medication, and they found that it helped them as well. So I don't know, it might not be as rare as we thought, I guess.
Well, I'm amazed that there was even a pill for this, because if indeed it's 1 in a million, usually drug companies don't research anything for a disease that is that minor because there's no money in it, But so the fact that you even found a medication that works is amazing. So you said you are not bitter or angry, and that you wouldn't change the journey that brought you to where you are today. But how can you not feel resentment when you've lived 3 decades trapped in your own disabled body?
Well, I guess first of all, I grew up with a really positive attitude, accepting who I was. I had a great support system, wonderful family and friends, and a strong faith. But I guess more so is I feel like I've been given an amazing gift. I'm able to do things that I never thought possible. And I guess I just kind of look at it as if I dwell on everything that I missed out on in life, then I'm not going to be able to appreciate what I have today. What happened in the past is kind of in the past, and it made me who I am today. I'm a strong and courageous person because of that journey. So I just accept and move on. I feel like I've been given a gift.
Well, so you said that you, in your book, you mentioned your mom always told you that there's somebody for everyone. Do you believe this is true for everybody? And how did you find your somebody?
Well, if you would have asked me as a teenager if I thought there was someone for everyone, I would have said no, because I really thought I would be alone forever. But I guess I met my husband in college and we became really good friends, and he got to know me for who I am on the inside and not just for what appearances were, all my physical limitations. And after we got married, I remember I asked him, I said, what was it about me that made you want to choose a life like this? Because there were going to be challenges, of course, with any type of illness, there's challenges. And he just looked at me and said, Jean, you're always positive. You don't focus on what your inabilities are, and you just go make the most out of life. And you don't ever let those challenges stop you. And he said, he fell in love with that about me. And eventually he didn't even notice the physical limitations, because it really just wasn't who I was as a whole. It was a part of who I was, but it didn't define me.
Wow. You were very fortunate to find someone like that. Not only fortunate, but the fact that he was so sincere in what he was saying. And now you have children. You have how many children?
We have 3 children. So ranging, the oldest is 15, and then we have a 13-year-old, and then our youngest is 5, who came after my correct diagnosis.
Wow. So how did your medical condition affect the kids?
Well, they're fine. I mean, it is a genetic disorder, but it's really kind of very complicated, the genetics of it. But so far, they don't show any symptoms, and they're not expected to show any symptoms. But it's something I'm glad that we do know about, because further down the line, it's something that could possibly pop up. So, but like in my case, I'm the first person on either side of my family to have this. So it is very rare.
Wow. And so you just never know, do you, Jean? You just don't know. Is this tied to genetics? I mean, genes, or, and how does one get diagnosed then? I'm sure that
it is genetic. And because I've had a lot of different people contact me who, they have spastic diplegia, which is a form of cerebral palsy. And they ask about wanting to check out to see if they have this. One of the big indicators is physically, I always did better in the morning, and I would get worse as the day went on. So that is a huge dopa-responsive dystonia symptom. The easiest way to figure out if you have this is to just ask your physician for a trial of the L-DOPA medication, which is the same medication that Parkinson's patients take. You can also do genetic testing, but that is a lot more expensive and, a lot more timely.
Wow. You should be on a tour just talking about this all over the country. So I know you said that your story has helped others, but
yeah.
If you could go back in time and get this diagnosis when you were younger, would you have preferred that? Would you do that?
I think, obviously my life would have been easier, but I think if it would have been different, if I would have gotten that correct diagnosis at a young age, my life would have been very, very different. And I don't think I would have gone to my college. So I wouldn't have met my husband, and I wouldn't have my 3 kids. And I wouldn't want to miss out on that. I've got things going and they're pretty good. I'm loving life, and that journey that I had made me a stronger person. And I find it to be an amazing gift to be able to go out and speak to different organizations and sharing my story, because it's not just a story of receiving a correct diagnosis. It's a story of providing hope to people that don't have hope. And it's sharing a story to inspire others to really appreciate the little things in life. We have gifts each and every day that people tend to take for granted. So I would not go back in time to change it. I feel like it's such a blessing to be able to help others.
Well, you are like one in a million. There are so many people who seem to get up every day and their challenge is to make everybody else's life miserable. And yet they are in a very good situation and a very positive situation, but yet they choose to find something wrong with everything. So the fact that you are so positive and that you are so grateful and you are so happy, I mean, those are things that are wonderful. And I'm sure you're teaching the same thing to your kids. And I just think that's just a wonderful place to be. But how do you feel towards the doctors who misdiagnosed you?
Oh, I really have no ill will at all. I mean, I saw dozens and dozens of doctors, and the diagnosis always came up the same until the last one. But as I say, doctors are human. Doctors are going to make mistakes. That's why it's so important to be our own advocates. I don't know how I could be angry at people that were really sincerely just trying to help me.
So how did you find this doctor? I mean, how did the answer actually happen?
So when I was in my late 20s, I had a medical procedure done where I had a baclofen pump implanted into my body, which is very similar to a insulin pump for diabetics, except for me, it used muscle relaxers. And the physician at the time was increasing the dosage and increasing it to the point where I became so relaxed that I call myself, I was a human noodle. And I know it was horrible. That was when I had hit my rock bottom. That was when I started dealing with some depression and anxiety. And I say that is far more debilitating than anything physical I ever went through. So my husband and my mom were saying, we need to get you in to see another doctor, one that specializes in these baclofen pumps. And I went and saw her, and she got my medication dosage straightened out, and she said, but I'm not really sure about your diagnosis. And then she referred me to a neurologist that she knew and trusted. And so I went and saw her.
Wow, that's amazing. So it was actually a neurologist who diagnosed you.
It was a neurologist, yes, that gave me the diagnosis of dopa-responsive dystonia. And she has her specialty is movement disorders. She sees a lot of patients with Parkinson's.
Wow. When you talk about all these things, you begin to wonder how a physician can really know all of these different areas. And there are specializations, of course, but still you just, it's just mind-blowing to me that someone could be misdiagnosed for 33 years. I still haven't quite gotten over that. So since you had your children and your first two, when you still were in the wrong diagnosis, how did that affect your kids?
Oh, I think having a disabled mom made them, very empathetic. They're caring. They want to help others with limitations. And, that's kind of how it was when they were little. And now that they're older and I have the correct diagnosis, they're able, I think, to stop and appreciate the blessings that they have in life. And, we'll be at the mall and trying to find a parking space. And my daughter will say, do you remember when you used to have to park in those spots? And she'll point to the handicap spots. So they're just very in tune with, the benefits, what they have in life, all their blessings. But
you've got to credit yourself too and your husband, because there's a lot of kids that could be resentful and act out in a lot of ways. And the fact that they are so caring and nurturing themselves is a testament to you and your husband. So you should be very proud of that, I tell you. Because, a lot of people wouldn't have had that same reaction. So what are some of the positive changes that have affected your family due to your current diagnosis and your correct diagnosis?
Oh, we have a lot of fun being able to go on hikes. We had just gone out to Yellowstone and Glacier this past summer, and to be able to see the beauty that is not from the windshield of your car is amazing, but also smaller things like I can drive my children to activities in the evening. Like I said, my disorder, it would get worse as the day went on. So back in the day, someone else would have to take my kids to Girl Scouts and basketball practice. And so I'm able to do that now. Or being able to walk my son to the bus stop, being able to cook dinner for my kids or make their birthday cakes. It's just, it's all those really little things that are just huge.
Yeah, and I think people should begin to appreciate and recognize those things more, no matter what they have positive in their life or negative in their life, to appreciate the small things that go on every single day that could make us smile instead of feel depressed all the time. So what are some of the things that you are doing to make the public aware of this?
Well, like I said, I have my book. I had a memoir come out called Misdiagnosed, My 30-Year Struggle with a Debilitating Disorder I Never Had. I know, it's such a mouthful. So I have that book, and that has made people more